Hi, my name is Ray Collier from Period 2, and I'm doing my book talk on A Long Way Gone by Ishmael Bowe. The story's setting is in Sierra Leone, where Ishmael and his family grew up. He is a young 13-year-old boy who has gone through a lot. Ishmael, his brother Junior, and his friend Taloy have a hobby of rapping. They love it and it's something they can all bond over because they love the music. With open minds and bravery, the boys traveled 16 miles to Mount Trujillo to participate in one of their friends' talent show. They were very poor, so to save money, they chose to walk. After the long journey of walking, the boys finally arrived in Mount Trujillo and they met up with their old friends Gabrilla, Kaloko, and Kailu. It was later that day when the rebels had attacked Monguemo, which is a village in Sierra Leone which they lived. This freaked the boys out, and now their mission was to get home and make sure their families were okay and alive. The boys took a canoe to get to the other side of Mount Trujillo, then traveled 6 miles by foot to their grandmother's house in Kambani. This was a part in the book where the boys really witnessed how bad war can actually be and how gory it was. While hiding in the bushes because they heard a vehicle, they peeked over the side to see a man run from the driver's seat to the sidewalk where he vomited blood. His arm was bleeding. When he stopped vomiting, he began to cry. It was the first time he had seen a grown man cry like a child, and I felt the sting in my heart, said Ishmael. A woman put her arms around the man and begged him to stand up. He got to his feet and walked towards the van. When he opened the door opposite the driver's, a woman who was leaning against it fell to the ground. Blood was coming out of her ears. People covered their children's eyes. And in the back of the van, there were 3 more dead bodies, 2 girls and a boy, and their blood was all over the seats and all over the ceiling of the van. Later, Ishmael found out that the man had tried to escape with his family and the rebels had shot at his vehicle, killing his family. The only thing that calmed the man down was to know that he was lucky enough to at least have the chance to bury them. After witnessing this traumatic event, the boys were terrified and anxious to get home. They continued on their long journey home, but it was not easy. They were stopped many times and had to run for their lives. While running, the boys all got separated and never saw each other again. This was a very scary moment for Bowe because now he is alone and his everyday struggle was just survival. That led him to do things that he wouldn't normally do, such as stealing food from children. Ishmael was very strong and he was the leader of the pack. Bowe was only 13 years old, and after being separated and alone, he became in contact with a few rebels who brainwashed him into believing horrible things. He was convinced that joining the army would be best for his family, and if he took part in the army, his family could no longer be victims. This led Ishmael into becoming evil and just as bad as the others by slaughtering and killing people like he saw before. Soldiers like Ishmael became addicted to drugs such as cocaine, marijuana, etc., which in theory would give them courage to fight and kill with no questioning. The war that took place here in Sierra Leone is similar to other genocides that had occurred throughout history. People were slaughtered, villages were raided, and the power of the government overtook civilians. Even though it is a miracle that he survived and is now currently safe, Ishmael never saw his mother and his younger brother Ibrahim again after leaving on his long journey into Mount Trujillo. Ishmael also never saw Junior, Taloy, and the others again, assuming they were murdered. And after all this, Ishmael Bowe still seemed to get rescued and miraculously reunited with his longtime best friend Muhammad, who hadn't seen him since the war had started. All in all, A Long Way Gone was a very tragic and devastating story to read, but it was amazing and I recommend it to everyone. Thank you for listening.